So, the Pocket Cinema 4K camera. I know a lot of you probably subscribe to this channel because that's what I talk about a lot of times these days. This is my Ronin setup, and yeah, I'll talk about that more in another video, but now let's talk about lenses for the Pocket Cinema camera, especially vintage ones. This is gonna be my big Pocket Cinema camera setup. So what do you look for in a lens? I usually look for a character, and like certain times you want one that's really efficient. Maybe it's a zoom lens, maybe it's a really sharp wide lens, whatever it is that you're after, it's super personal. I usually shoot around, on the pocket camera that is, or on the Ursa, which you are looking at me through right now, probably around 20-ish, maybe 22-ish to 28, 30 millimeter, somewhere around there. And that's the range that I mainly look at. But then there are some lenses that, like the 58 millimeter focal length, that I really find useful as well for certain things, but not an all-round type of thing. When I got the pocket camera, I was looking for like this small, light setup. I wanted it to be like the Ronin, a tiny setup with a tiny lens, and then put like a focus wheel to be able to just focus the thing, and just to have it a lightweight setup. I didn't want the lenses to be long as my Sigma 18-35, for instance. It's too long to be carrying around in this way. Now if I have it on the Easy Rig, that's a different thing, but I want a super compact way of working with this camera, because otherwise it doesn't make sense to have a camera in this size. This is my big setup. This is not very big, right? But then if you put it on an Easy Rig, sorry for the noise, there's like a dump truck. 1 second. Tiny lenses that everybody should look at are the Pentax series. So the super multi-coated ones, these ones are from, like this is super multi-coated Takumar lenses. It's a series that you can look up, just SMC Takumar, and you will find a lot of them. I got this one, the 3.5, what's this? Is it the 35 millimeter? Yeah, 35 millimeter lens. I really like this. I wanted a 35 just because it's an all-round type of focal length, but you can see how tiny these are, and when you mount those on it, these look great. These have like super nice micro contrast, and like the focus wheel is really nice. It's nice when you adapt them with the focus rings. This is another one. It's also tiny. And this has an adapter ring on it as well for EF mount. Like it's not big lenses at all, but they are super nice looking. And these are tack sharp. So I really like working with this. This is the 28 millimeter 3.5 as well. And I think that that's the advantage when you use the Pocket Cinema camera. It really does make sense to shoot with like 2.8 or 3.5 type of lenses, because you have the ISO 1250 that is super clean and effective to use. And I don't think you should shoot everything at the lowest aperture. Like you did that when you got your first DSLR, but that's not a way that you work. If you continue to work, you want things in focus, and you might want to use that for style, but for generic things, like I probably shoot this at like 4.0 or at 5.6, those types of things, because I want to be in focus. And maybe I'm not in focus anyways, because it's always difficult when you shoot yourself. But anyway, this is the setup, right? And then have this loop as well. Wait for the truck. I think we're pretty quiet. So I found this battery from IDX. I don't know if you can see it, but this one has D-tap. It powers the monitor from ICANN and it powers the pocket, and then it's on the East rig and it's super light, so this is pretty sweet. Then I just put the loop on if I need it, and you got yourself a camera rig that works really well. And this is smaller than like a C300 or something like that, but it's more versatile, which I really like. So I can show you more about this later, but this is how I'm shooting this today. And this is like a commercial thing, so it's kind of tiny for that, but that's why I use the Sigma 18-35 as well. Another series of lenses, because that I would consider to be like my one choice of type of lenses. There's a bunch of them that you can buy, like more expensive, less expensive, in terms of how light sensitive they are. But I think that like the 3.5 has such much value in it. It's not that expensive, but these are gems. First off, there's a classic lens that I think a lot of you have heard about, which is the Helios 58mm. It's a great lens. It's perfect for the pocket. It's such a nice portrait lens and effect lens. Like I shot like whole scenes in a commercial that I'm making just to create a certain look for it, and it works perfectly. I shot that on the Ursa, but on the pocket now with my speed booster, these look similar. So it's a perfect type of lens to shoot, for instance, portraits for, where you want a bokeh that's more anamorphic looking. And that lens, it's super classic. Everybody that are into that look, which is a bit of the swirly bokeh, everybody loves that lens, and I can understand that they do, because it's a great lens. But another one that is like an alternative to that, that's a little bit wider, is this little baby here, which is the Mir 1B. And this is a really nice lens that you can, unfortunately, one of the screws on this one does not come loose, but there's a screw on the back here, two of them. If you unscrew those, you can open it up. It's not hard, it's just open it up. You need to mark out where you are though. And then you can move the focal point, or the close focus range of it. And then it can become more close focused. Now I have to use like a close-up diopter lens on top of it, because it doesn't have any close focus. Let's say it has like 1.5 meters away or something like that. So it's a bit annoying, but for the money, like it doesn't cost anything, I think it's worthwhile trying to get one that you can move the focus, close focus of. Yeah, I really like it. It's an amazing lens. It has a similar look to it. This is a 37mm, so it's a bit wider, but it's 2.8. Yeah, and the Helios is 2.0, I think. Yeah. So this is a great alternative to that, that's a little bit wider. Then we have another one that I haven't tried that much, but it's supposed to have a similar look as well, but this is even wider. So this is 28mm. It's a Makinon 28mm, what is it, 2.8. Yeah, so this is a super cheap lens. This is probably one of the cheapest you can find, but it has a nice character to it, and I really like the build quality and the focus and everything. If you want to play around with lenses and you want to find like a certain cinematic look, these three lenses are great for that. All of them are like the type of anamorphic look, but without the hassle and with this tiny freaking form factor. This is so small. And if you just put these together and you go out and you shoot a whole feature film with it, you're gonna have a consistent look to it. So those were like my special lenses. Outside of that, there's a bunch that I don't own, but that I really like. Especially the Nikon series, the old vintage Nikon series are great, or Nikon. I know Maceo Frost, a friend of mine, shot his whole feature film with those. Like if you haven't seen what he's done, then go check him out, because he does amazing ad work and films and all that. And he shot that with a pocket, like the old pocket. He's actually shooting his new film on the pocket cinema camera as well, with vintage lenses. So it's just a professional way of working. I also consider the pocket to be like my A camera right now. It's funny, the Ursa is a great camera, but as soon as you get that small form factor and you get the same quality, you kind of move away from carrying things around. Yeah, and then I love the FD series from Canon as well, the vintage ones. There's a lot of lenses out there that are vintage ones. Let me know what you think are great lenses. I just want to show you my battery solution right now. So this is a battery from IDX. It has a D-tap on the back, and this is an Icon VL35. So the VL35, you can actually mount a different battery plate, which you have to buy separately, but then you can buy the Sony BPU or BP series batteries, and this has a cable there. D-tap has USB as well. I shot a commercial for a whole night, and this one ran out at the end, and then it went over to the regular battery. Amazing low weight, and it powers both the monitor and the pocket cinema camera. Just a tip for you. Anyway, let me know, what are your favorite lenses and battery solutions? Have you found a better one? Let me know. I think this is probably the best one outside of having a cable into the Ronin.